This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the Samsung Stratosphere on Verizon Wireless. This is their first QWERTY LTE 4G phone, and to take a look at the front face, it looks like your average Samsung phone. It's a Super AMOLED 4-inch display, 800 by 480 pixel resolution, not Super AMOLED Plus, just Super AMOLED. You do get those incredibly rich, bright colors, though. And you got capacitive buttons down here, and you can see it's kind of thicker than average, and that's because there's a slide-out keyboard. The micro USB port right down there, obviously, where it belongs. Microphone hole right here. Side volume controls. Headphone jack up top, yay. Power button on the side. Back is matte plastic. They call that Noble Black, go figure. There's a 5 megapixel camera and an LED flash, and your speaker right here. And we've got a kind of a Kuromi surround here. And to open it up, it takes quite a bit of force, surprisingly, to open up the keyboard. And we've got a full QWERTY keyboard here, very large and roomy. I have reasonably long fingers, so you can see if you have pretty good sized hands, this is going to work just fine. If you have teeny hands, you can still manage to stretch to the middle. It's not that huge a phone. This is a backlit keyboard. You can set the backlight timeout for up to 6 seconds, by the way, for both the capacitive front buttons and this. And once you start typing, it will stay on as well. So you've got a dedicated number up here. You've got some Android buttons for search and back and home and menu. So you don't have to keep reaching over here to do things, which is pretty handy. And it's not a bad keyboard to type on. And here it's got some click to it, and it's got some travel. Kind of a rubbery surface so you don't slide off. Not a bad keyboard. I also like the dedicated arrow rows right here. Phone sells for $149 with a 2-year contract, which is a bit less than most Verizon LTE phones so far, which usually start out at $299, except for the Pantech Breakout, which was $99 as the budget LTE phone. And the reason this is less expensive is, again, because it has a 4-inch instead of a larger 4.3-inch or bigger display, and it has a 1 gigahertz Hummingbird single-core CPU, and that's going back to the days of the Samsung Fascinate. That's kind of an old CPU, but it manages to keep up pretty well. We'll show you. It can play 720p high-profile video, it can play 3D games and all that kind of thing. So empirical benchmarking doesn't always say a lot, because on the benchmark numbers, well, this one doesn't do as great. We saw about 16 on LinPack for the single and multi-thread tests, and on Quadrant we got a 15-17, which is actually surprisingly good for this phone. And the fact that it runs Android OS 2.3.5 Gingerbread probably helps it as well. SunSpider JavaScript test, it was pretty painful at 6,200, where we usually see about 4,000 on the faster phones. That doesn't mean that web browsing is slow, though. Especially if you've got an LTE connection, which we happen to have right now. The bars here, by the way, seem to indicate the EV signal strength and not the LTE signal strength. Same thing with the Droid Charge as well, and different from the Bionic that actually gives you different signal bars for LTE versus EV. So here you can see we've just run the SunSpider Java test, JavaScript rather, and you can see our 6241 result right here. And we'll visit our own website, and you can see how the load times are. And that's pretty good, certainly for connection over 4G LTE mobile network. And as usual for Samsung, we have separate browser brightness inside the browser, so we'll crank that back up to maximum so you can see it more easily. Scrolling smoothly. We have Adobe Flash Player 11 installed, and it's handling those ads just fine. Zooms in and out. Just fine. And yes, it can play Adobe Flash, so we'll take a look at our video review of the T-Mobile Galaxy S2. And I'll try playing Flash, and meanwhile the phone has dropped down to 3G for some reason, so we'll see how well it can do playing 3G and playing Flash. And you can hear the speaker, which was rather loud. Not real sharp and clear, always though.
This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and it's yet another Samsung Galaxy S2. This time, the third time,
well, that's playing just fine.
In the United States. We've already seen the Sprint version that came first, followed by AT&T, and now the T. The only one who seems to be
now full screen 480p. So the Hummingbird CPU is really managed to keep up, and so is Verizon's 3G network.
4.52-inch display like the Sprint version.
Speaking of 2G versus 3G, on LTE's network, speedtest.net's been giving us speeds, but around 8 megs for download and 2 to 3 for upload, which isn't bad. It's not as good as the Droid Bionic, which is averaging about 12 megs down in the same spot, and about the same for uploads, 2 to 3 megs, sometimes 4. But that's not bad. And on EVDO Rev A3G, we've been seeing up to about 1.8 meg down and about a meg for upload speeds. So those aren't too bad. Not as good as the star of the lineup, the Bionic, but not bad. Phone has usual Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS. It does have a front-facing video chat camera, as well as that 5-megapixel camera in the back. Now, 5-megapixel isn't all that high, but Samsung makes very good camera phones, and it really takes pretty nice 480p video and some very nice, colorful photographs. So, not slumming too much when it comes to the camera on this. As you can see, it has the TouchWiz UI, complete with Samsung's usual widgets up front here, and their customization of the launcher. They've gotten rid of those square backgrounds in recent versions of TouchWiz, so that's nice. You just got kind of normal looking Android icons. And a little number up here that indicates which page you're on of your many pages of app drawer apps, and it puts anything you've downloaded on the final screen. Easy Navigator's on board, of course, along with Google Maps navigation. Quick Office is here. It's the full version. It lets you not just view, but edit and create Office documents. Here we can create a new document and just start typing away at that lovely hardware keyboard, or we can use the on-screen keyboard, and by default that is the swipe keyboard. And here's your ribbon of controls here for various things, formatting, all that kind of stuff, searching. Basic Office suite in your pocket. Other preloaded apps include the usual big lineup of Verizon apps: VCast Media, VCast Music, VCast Tones, VCast Videos as well. Slacker Radio's on board, Kindle's here, Let's Golf 2, pretty hard to escape lately on mobile phones. Got Need for Speed Shift, we'll check that out in a minute. NFL Mobile, and the mobile hotspot application, because you can use this as a wireless high-speed modem for your laptop, tablet, or what have you. Got Samsung's DLNA All Share on board, Amazon Kindle, Blockbuster, which Verizon's been bundling lately, their backup assistant to back up your PIM data to their cloud, Desk Cradle app, which is kind of cool, Samsung's. And we have a day-night mode with shortcuts to common applications, and if you put it in night mode, you'll no longer be blinded. And we've got their own custom video player here. And we'll check out a video right now. Play a 720p high profile movie trailer. Just playing very smoothly. It doesn't take a dual-core CPU. That Samsung Hummingbird CPU is well optimized for playing back video. And the speaker volume is pretty good. Another nice thing about the phone is how good the screen looks when you're watching videos. Even though it's Super AMOLED, not Super AMOLED Plus, well, they're both pretty nice and very colorful and super high contrast. So how does it handle games? Let's take a look at Need for Speed Shift. Alright, here we are in Need for Speed Shift. Well, this is playing just fine. Single core CPU, but yes, it can still handle some gaming. And once again, the screen looks nice and colorful, even though this is kind of a Twilight scene. And now I'll compare this to the Droid Bionic by Motorola on the left here, and you can see a bit bigger phone, but it's going to be thinner obviously because it doesn't have a slide-out keyboard. And you can see the difference in the display too. The Super AMOLED is so bright and colorful versus the everyday pen tile kind of display that we've got on the Bionic. Though the Bionic is running at a higher resolution, it's QHD, so it's a bit higher resolution than the Stratospheres. As a phone, the Samsung Stratosphere is okay. Call quality could be sharper. We felt the same thing about the Droid Charge, unfortunately. Calls are intelligible, but sometimes incoming voice sounds a little bit garbled or a little bit murky. Outgoing calls are reasonably clear, but not the best we've heard, not as good as the Bionic, for example. You can see the big on-screen dialer here. We've certainly got a very Halloween theme going on right now with the colors, but themes are customizable with Android. Big on-screen dialer, call button, turning your microphone on and off, access to keypad, call log, favorites, and contacts. And if we take a look at the contacts, you can see it's typical Samsung TouchWiz. How they've customized it. You get the black background, and you've got social networking integration, address, history, activities. If you have any history with this contact, for example, any media. So it's nice for social networking. Samsung's usual round of TouchWiz software is on here too. We've got their nice little memo application right here. And basically what it says, it's a memo application. And you can choose different color post-it notes. And we've got their media hub as well for renting and purchasing movies. So you've got access to movies, TV shows, and anything that you have purchased or rented. And we can watch a preview of the video. Yeah, it uses Samsung Video Player to do that. And right now we're on LTE, so the throughput should be pretty good. Plays just fine, looks sharp. The volume's set just a little bit above halfway. Of course, you can use Bluetooth headset or you can use wired headphones, and unlike the Bionic, there is no headphone buzzing sound when you use the headphone jack. The Stratosphere has an 1800 milliamp battery that's user replaceable under the back cover here. It's pretty easy to access. Just grab from the little grippy hole here and yank away. Plastic back comes off. There's the battery. There's the SIM card slot. Here's the 4 gig micro SD card that's included. It has about 4 gigs of internal storage total as well. Not all that's available to you. You get about a gig or so. So 1800 milliamps is a sizable amount of battery, but you know how LTE is. It loves to drain the battery, so don't expect this to be the Energizer Bunny. You can, however, go into wireless settings and actually turn off LTE if you want when you don't need it to extend your battery life. Just go to System Selection here, and you can select CDMA mode if battery life really becomes an issue for you and you're not using your data connection at the moment. So that's the Samsung Stratosphere. It's available now on Verizon for $149 with a 2-year contract, and it's their first QWERTY slider phone. So for you texting types who are not fond of on-screen keyboards, well, this is the phone for you if you're looking for LTE 4G high-speed data on Verizon. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Visit our website for the full review.